Gang, this Hexy. Kind of want to do like a small overview or small review here of a most fearful sacrifice. Maybe just touch on a couple items. Uh, I've had some good comment go arounds with Herman and Claude and Fred have put in some really good stuff and helped me out with a lot. And I'm sure a lot of you all too with notes about the game and how the mechanics work. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was the command display, the division priorities. Uh, I have not read any of the optional rules or the addendum stuff or whatever that's been posted because I think the system's fine, okay? But I think what I want to address is the optional rule that they created that you can use where units can move to the sound of fire. Because, for example, this priority 3 for this division for Steinware, it's slim to no chance that he's going to get activated unless you burn one of the special events cards to do it, okay? So let's try to think of, which I know none of us were there then. All right? Some of us were probably close, but none of us were in the American Civil War, all right? And those of us that have been in more current situations, we have radio communications. Well, you know what? They didn't have it then. It was couriers, or it was flag wavers, like, Governor Warren up on top of Little Round Top. He had a signal unit up there that was sending flag signals up and down that Seminary Ridge. So I look at it like this third division here. Couriers aren't getting sent to them. They just didn't have any priority. But maybe Barlow, he's getting them. Maybe Schurz, the second priority, he's getting those couriers. He's getting that, that information from the higher up. Hey, I need you to go here, need you to move here. And Barlow's probably definitely getting it. Now, okay, well, you're going to say, hey, Hexy, well, that's not necessarily going to be true. Okay, right. Well, the cards take care of that themselves on the command table roll. So, yeah. So maybe Meade says, hey, Howard, you need to get that division, and I want them to move and attack, blah, 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 blah. I want that whole division attacking. Well, that courier gets sent out, and by the time it gets to Barlow, if it gets to Barlow, he rolls on his command table because of his sort of limited command ability. He rolls a 1, and Barlow only executes the order with 1 brigade. Or maybe he says, man, I can't do it. I can't get everybody moving at the same time. Well, so let's take this movement to the sound of battle, because Steinware's never going to get a draw, like I say, unless you use a special event card, all right? And then even on the special event cards, you roll a dice. I think the Meade leadership card might add a +1, but if you use that other special card, I think it's like a -1. Well, he might only move 1 brigade. All right, so let's throw in that movement to fire thing. We have to assume that maybe if he's moving to fire, then he probably doesn't have any orders other than to get to Gettysburg. Well, I'm thinking to myself that if Shirt or Steinware is coming on, let's go over here to the map real quick. He's not. I'm sorry. I'm still in the middle of my play, so get over it. All right, so let's say Steinware is coming in down here on the Tawnytown Road. All right. Well, 11th Corps is up on Cemetery Hill, or in the front of Cemetery Ridge. Now, granted, they're not, but, let's go historical. Well, if Steinware comes on late in the afternoon on July 2nd, the first gunfire he's going to be hearing is probably the attack of Hood and McLaws. All right. Again, we're going to use historical, even though I know von Steinware came on a lot earlier. So it would tell me that until I'm able to get a courier to this guy or give him orders, he's going to move to that fire. He's going to move to the sound of that gunfire. That's Hexy's thought on using that rule if you so decide to use it. I think that the command table, I think that the core activation and the division activation stuff, I think it's fine, because I'm really not having any issues with units getting to where they need to go, all right? And I know Herman and I discussed this, and there were some other people that talked about it. I can't remember which one. I need to go back and read a book, but I want to say it was First Corps. As they were moving, they stopped to have coffee and cook their breakfast. And then a courier shows up and boom, they're dropping everything and they're on the run. Okay, well, not activating a division, maybe that represents casual marching. they're not moving with any urgency because they've not been given any details. All right. And I think that the division priority kind of represents that. You put Barlow up there as priority division because you want him to get that leader tactical information, that message from higher command. All right. Maybe from me down through Howard. Howard wants to get it to Barlow to get him moving faster. So you make him the priority. So every time Howard activates, the odds are Barlow, all right, is great high percentage that he's going to be the one that's going to get the order from Howard. All right. But he's, like I say, his inefficiency, when you roll on that command table, his leadership ability, depending on that role, he might pull it off just like Howard wanted him to. Excuse me. Or he might be maybe the message is misunderstood. Maybe the courier sweat all over the damn note and it was all fuzzed up or anything. And he ends up just moving one brigade because he doesn't quite understand the order. Or he tries to evaluate the order himself and thinks that he's going to make a better decision than Oliver Otis Howard would have made. Okay. So there's so many things that these command tables on these cards provide. All right. Leader casualties. All right. We all know there's no leader units on the board. Although I believe it would be a nice little implementation of a nice, beautiful big counter with Bobby Lee's picture on it just to have laying on the board so I can see it. Maybe we'll create one. But you still have the Fog of War card where you can, and I believe me, if you can tell the markers that are on these cards, you can see how many generals I've had killed already. There's already 5. All right. And, well, I've got no leader on the board now, so I have no command. Well, no, they abstracted all that and built it into it by adding these chits that reduce their die roll on their command table by 2. So now you're thinking up here, I'm Harry Heath. I finally get an order, and this happened to me because I'm trying to get Heath to get moving up to Seminary Ridge. I finally drew one of the event cards, and Harry Heath, where is he? Over here. He got wounded. Well, I rolled a 3, and with that wounded marker on over -2, you can see what his first order is. No orders. So when I finally drew the card and was going to apply it to Heath, he failed to move. So I really think that these guys have done a great job they put command in here. They just abstracted and made us not to have to scratch our heads so much on command range. Is this unit out of range or is it in range of their leader? Is there a chain of regiments where each one is adjacent to the next one where that command can be passed down? I think they did a knockout job with this so that we don't have to think so much while we're playing. All right. Another thing I want to talk about. When I first started to play this thing, is I went through the first turns. I was like, damn, I'm not doing no damage on this combat ratio or the combat results table. Well, you know what? That combat results table, as I started to play, I realized, you know what? This is very good because you could be, if it was any stronger, you'd be knocking units off left and right, and I don't think you would get the same play out of the game. For example, now granted, McClaw's attack started 2 hours ago, all right? And he has had priority. Well, hey, he's bypassed the Peach Orchard. He's working towards the Stony Hill. All right, he's pushing in towards Devil's Den. But if you make that, and with his cohesions being as good as they are, if you made that combat results table any more deftly, it's quite possible McClaw's could already be up here on Little Round Top, which I think would be completely unrealistic. And then back to those division cards again. And back to those special event cards that activate divisions. I literally had nothing over here for the Union because I didn't see, and granted I'm playing solo, but and those of you that are playing this thing down to the details or playing extended, well, you probably need to play the campaign so that you can get all this randomness, all right, where you can change the historical approach to things. I had nothing over here because I did not see McClaw's in his original position, even though I had a plan, that he was going to double up on a move in a turn and end up moving around that left flank of the Union, okay? So I had to modify what I did with the divisions on the Union side because I needed reinforcements over here. And as you can see, they've gotten here. 2nd Corps over here, Some third corps stuff's moving in from Bernie, okay? And the fight is on over here now. So now McLaws is going to get slowed down. I'm trying to get Hood over there, all right? Hood is still hovering around back there on the road back there. But he's gonna eventually get over here. Now, so here we go. Now I'm making command decisions again. McLaws has priority. He's in the fight. Hood is second priority. Now, like I say, Longstreet has a great chance to roll to get a DP1 and a DP2. So they're all activated and they can do their thing. So if I need to hurry Hood up, do I need to switch those cards at the start of the turn so that Hood now gets the priority and can move forward? And if I do that, is that a mistake because McLaws is in combat already? Or do I just rely on default events to fight with McLaws, which was a suggestion. Use those things to take care of your units that are in the front line and in the mix. But I want those assaults. I want that fire and then move and then close assault. I want that. So for me, I'm leaving McLaws in that first priority. Same thing with Pender. I could switch up, put Heath up there, or even Anderson, Anderson is untouched sitting right in here. I need to get him into the fight with Pender over here, but Pender's already engaged, and I don't want to give up that priority because A.P. Hill is no James Longstreet, apparently. All right, I don't want to give up that priority that Pender has since he's in the fight. So you've really, and Claude has told me in multiple comments, you've got to decide whether, and I think we were talking about the Union, whether you want to focus hard on the cavalry in the First Corps fighting, or whether you want to prioritize reinforcements getting on the board. So as I play each turn, which I've commented in some or I've replied to some comments that the decision-making process in the worst case so far with all these units on the board, I have taken at the most total time. Sometimes I'll do a few things and I'll walk away. Maybe the next day I'll come back and do something. But at the worst case, 45 minutes to an hour. And I'll guarantee you if it's an hour, 30 minutes of it is me scratching my head saying, damn, where do I want to prioritize what I'm doing? Because I've got 2 attacks going on 2 flanks, okay? Well, I don't know. We'll say I have 1 attack for the Confederates, and then I have 1 defense for the Confederates. I have 1 offense for the Union and 1 reactionary defense for the Union on the other side. So, and I've got probably 90% of the forces on the board. So, I guess in my final saying here, I think they got command right, okay? They abstracted this thing out. They made it easy for us to play so we don't have to spend an hour deciding what we're going to do before each turn begins. Because I got news for you. Arranging those division priority cards over there, believe me, there's enough right there to set the command system up perfectly, I think. Because you can sit over and look at those DP cards and say, man, do I need to switch this division, put him in the first slot, and move this up? Because some of these corps over there, you have to, because there's no way that general is going to roll a high percentage of activating 2 divisions in his corps, all right? Don't worry about command range, all right? Because there were riders going all over this place with notes coming from commanders to other commanders, all right, to subordinates and so forth down the line. This thing is playing out very nicely. This card system works like a champ, all right? I've never played many card games. I think I've only played one, the Napoleonic Wars, and it had nothing to do with command from what I understand playing that game. This one, they've got it right. And I just don't see where there's any changes that need to be applied to the system itself. Maybe there's some subtleties that I'm not seeing. I think the one thing I'm struggling with, and I think it's because I haven't quite mastered it yet, is getting my damn artillery into the right places. There's too many times where, what is it, two hexes? You can't move within 2 hexes or 3 hexes of an enemy unit. And I get a lot of situations where you just kind of want to drop that artillery in 2 hexes away from somebody so you can just blast the daylights out of them. You can't do it. Like I know back up here on McPherson's Ridge, I could not get Pegram's artillery up on top of McPherson's Ridge because the Iron Brigade was sitting 2 hexes on the other side of it. And so I had to fight with infantry until I could get them out of there and get that artillery up there. I do wear out this artillery in this game because a lot of these default event cards, when you really have no use for it, you want to flip units. You want to engage and flip units, and putting that artillery fire on some stuff is a good way to do it. Supply, don't need it. All right, these commanders would know. Every one of these corps, they all had their own supply wagons. Then you had supply trains, and you hear the cases during the fights during the Civil War where this unit ran ammunition because they were engaged so heavily, it was just nonstop firing. But somewhere along the line, these guys got back to their combat trains and they resupplied. So why even put it in the game? I don't think there was any necessity for that. And they didn't. That's great. Okay? They left it out. Something else we don't have to think about. Movement's easy. Firing is easy. And your operational modes when you activate a unit are also very easy. You're attacking, you're defending, or what's the other one? Regrouping or something like that. Or you get that, I don't know, like a strategic move where you can just fly up the roads. I'm just not, now that I'm more than halfway through the game, I'm just not finding any bad restrictions to the game. So I know that's not covering anything. I know Wayne Hansen, he's got a tutorial out there. You can go check him out. I know there's a bunch of the guys that have discussed the game, maybe thrown out a couple reviews. But you know what? If you got this thing, you got to play it. The scenarios are great to start walking you through stuff and get some historical configurations, okay? But I'm going to tell you right now, if you have the chance to set this thing up and play a campaign, you need to do it. Some of you guys are grinders. You'll set something up and you'll play 20 or 30 damn turns just because you're so locked into what you're doing. I wish I had that ability to do that. Every now and then I'll play 3 or 4 or 5 turns, but as the game grows, you start to get more counters on the board and you start to slow down a little bit because you're trying to make decisions. But like I say, I tell you, I know for a fact that when I sit down and I just start playing a turn from start to finish, if I even get to an hour, I'm amazed, even with all the stuff that's on the board right now, because the units that are in combat are the ones that you're not necessarily having to think about their motions because you're in combat and you're going to keep up the fight. The units that are on the move to the fight, you're not having to brainstorm that until you get them to the fight. Your biggest thing about using your brain in this one is, who do I prioritize? Who do I prioritize? All right. So again, this is the Most Fearful Sacrifice. It's Herman Luttman game. It's from Flying Pigs 2022. That's just my overview. I know it was a little long-winded, but I'm playing it. I'm enjoying it, and I'm playing it from the rules that are in the book. Nothing additional, nothing optional. And the game is performing. Granted, we don't necessarily want the historical Gettysburg that happened, but the game is playing along the same lines, with whatever subtle changes to events that I make happen. Like I know one of the things that they had considered for the Confederacy was pulling back away from Gettysburg to the Oak Hill Seminary Ridgeline. And believe me, for the last 3 hours of this game, I've been considering that myself so that I can take some of the stinking heat off of Early and Johnson, who's pretty much decimated. Rhodes, because there's all 3 divisions right here, and I end up having to prioritize Johnson Early because they're the ones engaged, and Rhodes doesn't get much done. So I've thought about that too. I still haven't done it yet. All right. I just wish old Harry Heath would get up on his horse, wipe the sweat off his brow, and get his troops over there to Seminary Ridge. All right, guys. Hey, get this thing up and play it. You're missing out on a gem if you don't play this game. If you can play the campaign, you've got to do it. You're really missing out on a great, 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 great system. All right, that's it. I've run my mouth long enough. Let's get this posted so I can see what's going on. Peace.